Welcome everyone to Talk in the Road and this new segment called Growth Gurus, where I get to interview incredible people like the amazing Paul Manning, who I'll introduce you to in a moment. The whole point of Growth Gurus is to introduce you to people who are teachers, mentors, and people who actually have grown themselves and who are growing other people via mentorship or coaching, or they're leaders in some way, shape or form. And that way we get to learn from them and we get to have a chat with them about their skills and what they do. And my name is Matthew Tait, and so I run this Fork in the Road coaching and Fork in the Road YouTube channel. And that's what I'm doing now. I want to interview these amazing people like Paul Manning. So a quick introduction is today we have Paul Manning. And Paul Manning is a meditation teacher who runs a series of meditation retreats and workshops where he guides students through a range of techniques to help them understand their own personal blocks and uncover their purpose. So welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
That's my pleasure. So the whole point of interviewing people like yourself, Paul, is to share with everyone what you do and share with everyone what they can get out of coming in to one of your retreats, coming to what you do. So we'll start off with what's your business and who do you help?
Basically, my business is just called Paul Manning Coaching. And the purpose of my business, I found a lot of people, particularly around the 30, 40, 50 age mark, I sort of felt like life has passed them by. They've missed opportunities. They got caught in jobs where they're just not happy, and due to conditioning from the past, they feel their only objective is just meet the requirements to feed the family. They've suppressed all their feelings because, particularly men, we're taught to suppress our feelings, don't share. We've had this big build-up of emotions over years. It's leading to depression, it's leading to anxiety, and it's leading to very high stress levels. And the purpose of my business is to help these people unleash it, remove these blockages and see their full potential.
Great. And so one of the main methods you're using then is meditation?
Absolutely. Meditation is such a powerful and underutilized form of healing. It really does give us the opportunity to go into the mind, examine what is going on. It's all about contemplation and learning to understand how the mind unravels so we can actually dig deep down into the source of all these problems.
Right. And so when someone comes to you, what would be sort of the presenting thing that they're coming to you with that's a problem for them?
Generally, what I get is they don't know. They're just stuck in a position where they just don't know where to move.
Mm.
I have found a lot of people actually present issues of body pain.
Body pain?
Body pain. Because what we actually find is sometimes when we've got so much clutter in the head and so much nervous energy and our mind is just so full of blockages, the issues in the mind actually are reflected in the body.
Right.
And as we build tension, situations like fibromyalgia, those sorts of things, which are very stress-driven, causes lots of bodily pain.
Right.
And if we can go in and relieve that stress, it just unleashes a whole new lease of living.
Fantastic. So I'm also a big believer of that our mind generates a lot of the dramas going on in our body. Do you have any sort of stories of some examples of maybe students who have shifted from, where they were to clearing these sorts of things?
Oh, absolutely. One comes to mind immediately. This was a combination I used of meditation and Qigong, which is an ancient Chinese form of, it's like Tai Chi, but it's about energy clearing, mindfulness, that type of thing. And I remember when she came into that first class, she was very stiff. She couldn't move. Asked her to move her arm. It was just, it was very, very stiff. She could barely walk. Even just walking to the supermarket was an effort. and causes a great deal of pain.
Right.
Anyone with fibromyalgia would relate to this. Within a 4-week period, she walked into class and I just said to her, "Have you noticed how you're walking?" She goes, "I'm not stiff." I went, "No." I said, "Show us this movement." Her arms were swinging completely over her head, around her body. She could actually start living. She could dedicate more time to her children. She could be more active in life. And that only happened within a 4-week period of mind and body.
And so would that have been like sort of one session a week, or how many sessions? What's that look like? How many sessions would you do?
Well, this one, we started very gently because we don't want to overdo it, because some people do push too hard too early.
Right.
So you want to ease them in. But we got there by doing one session a week of 1 hour, and then just little movements throughout the week, so like little daily exercises you could do, which are very, very simple and easy to do.
Right. So she was all tight. Geez, I mean, I'm feeling like I should come along because I've been painting all weekend, and I've got arms that need a bit of what's it called? Qigong.
Qigong, yes.
Qigong. I need a little bit of energy clearing, I think. It sounds like you're describing me. So she's really resolved a lot of her problems in like a 4-week period over 1 hour per week doing Qigong.
Yeah, just by moving that stagnant energy and that negative energy within the body, just being able to cleanse it. Plus, it also gives time for the head to eliminate that chatter that goes to the negative self-talk, the chatter that sort of restricts possibility. Just removing that, becoming more mindful, becoming more mobile, contributed to her moving forward with her life.
Well, it sounds like something all of our society should have, because we're all in our head with negative thoughts all the time. And so we've got to have something to lasso that and calm ourselves back to neutral so we can handle life. So, wow, that's an amazing story. And so has she given you a testimonial, I hope, for your Facebook page or something?
Yes, she's been very, very supportive actually, and she's really spreading the word. And she loves Qigong and she loves meditation. She's actually attended a lot of my workshops and retreats, to be honest. So, no, she
Fantastic.
actually loves it.
Wow. Oh, I think I need to go and have a session. Maybe we need to do a video on how to do Qigong, because I know I've done a fair bit of self-development, and I'm quite surprised that I haven't looked into Qigong yet. So I'll be sure to pick your brains on that properly. So what would happen in a session? Just now I'm curious about the how part of it. So we talked about why, because we can clear some negative thoughts. We can sort of resolve what's inside the body, and the what is Qigong. So what do you do in a session? I don't know if you can give me an example of what you would do in a session. Is it like a meditation, or is it, what does Qigong look like to a complete layman like me?
Yeah. Basically, a lot of people say it looks like Tai Chi, to be honest. It looks very similar to Tai Chi. And basically, the session would open up, but I'd typically open with some breath work.
Mm-hmm.
Because breath is so powerful in controlling everything. If you can control your breath, you can control your emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've heard that from many sources.
Yes. And what we typically do when we're breathing, we're shallow breathing. We're so caught up in life, we're not even concentrating on our breath. So we're only exercising one part of the lungs.
Mm.
So in Qigong, we actually exercise all parts of the lungs. So we'll do exercises to exercise the top of the lungs, the middle of the lungs, the bottom of the lungs, then do exercises to actually utilize full strength of the lungs.
Mm.
So typically we'd start with some breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'd do some warm-ups, some very gentle warm-ups. And then we work through a series of meridians, which is very similar to Chinese acupuncture. You know how they use the meridian lines?
Mm-hmm.
The movements we use are directly using those meridian lines, which actually affect our organs within our body. So it actually does a little, with the movement that we use, there's a little massage to each of the organs to improve their health, while removing any stagnant or negative energy blockages.
Fantastic. So you're pretty much really connecting the mind and the body together.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And that's what Qigong stands for. Qi means energy, and Gong means to work.
Oh, cool.
So when you put together, it's to work and cultivate energy.
Well, I like that. I like that, to work the energy. Because, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm really interested in men's mental health, having
Yes.
gone through, some anxieties and things myself in the past. And that's why I'm on this journey, is to try and find people like yourself that can help. And then I want to broadcast that to everybody, to share what options are available. And so, I mean, us men, we are very good at storing the energy in there for long periods, it building up, and
Yes.
then it just exploding in the wrong way and life falling apart. So, um, is there a way that you can implement qigong into normal life, like into it, like a habit? Because life's about habits, right? Our habits show everything. What would be
Yes.
your sort of tip? Like, what do you do to implement qigong in an easy way that's not too full on for a beginner like me?
Well, that's what I love about qigong. Once you've mastered it, you utilize it in every single day life. You can use it typing at a keyboard. You can use it walking to the shops. In fact, there's special walking qigongs that we actually do, which teach you how to use your energy and clear your energy just while walking.
Wow.
So you could potentially be doing the supermarket shopping and working your energy.
So you're working your energy while you're keeping your 1.5 meters of distance.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
In fact,
amazing.
you learn to protect your energy too, because you can protect the energy that surrounds you. So you can protect yourself at 1.5 meters as well.
Mm. And if you're feeling protected, I would imagine that would sort of calm yourself down, because I'm a huge advocate of, when you calm yourself down, you make better decisions because you're thinking more logically, not thinking emotionally. And so when things are going pear-shaped, if you're the calm one, people will look to you for that sort of
Yes,
guidance. What do I do now? Because you're not freaking out like everybody else is.
exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. So,
Well, when you're freaking out, you're in a state of survival.
yeah.
So your thoughts and what you're putting out isn't necessarily rational. It's just, what do I do now?
Hmm.
And you're reacting rather than responding, which may not be the best outcome. So when you're in that calm state, obviously, you stop the chatter, you see the better option.
And so, okay, now I'm thinking like myself as a beginner, because I assume that people that will listen might be a beginner. What would be the first thing you would read or look at? Like, is there a YouTube video or a book, or is there something that you would be what would be the first sort of thing you would tell people to go to have a look?
As in meditation, qigong, which
Qigong, or
aspects?
well, for yourself, like, what would you say is the first resource you might send them to? I mean, Qigong, I'm thinking, because that's what we just talked about. What do you think with Qigong? Let's focus on that for a start.
Yeah. Well, qigong's fantastic. It incorporates everything, because it does have the meditation, it does have the breath work, and it does have the energy.
Right.
So in with qigong, I am actually going to launch a series of online classes.
Where do I sign up? I'm in.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
watch this space. I figured while we're in isolation, we can't go out to classes. Why
Yeah.
not just run it online?
Yeah.
So I'm going to run a series of qigong classes online. So watch my space. I'm definitely going to put something out. There are several other places you can go. I know there's a school called Long White Cloud Qigong, run by John Munro. He's out in New Zealand. He does run some online courses. Um, in Melbourne here, there's another school called Open Sky. They run some online classes as well.
Wow.
But mine's a little bit different because I incorporate a little bit of more meditation, but come from an NLP background, a hypnotherapy background. I sort of merge and mix it all to
Mm.
create sort of like an overall package.
Really get to the bottom of the blocks then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic. So it's one of those things that, I mean, I love finding out about new things, especially when you think you've found most things and then you find something that you've never looked at. Oh, wow, this is great. I love the fact that it feels really abundant in that we can, try something new and see if it resonates with us, and trial it out. Because that's sort of the key for why I like to do these interviews, is to introduce something new to some people and some new practitioners like yourself who might be leading people. So that's fantastic. And so so you've got some really good examples there of the lady who's cleared her what were emotional blocks that led to body pain and fibromyalgia, wasn't it?
Fibromyalgia.
Any
Yes.
other stories like that come to mind as people that you've helped?
Oh, there's many stories. I'm going to go back to another one. It was a single mum. I remember her in one class,
Mm-hmm.
and she came out of absolute desperation. She goes, "Look, I'm a single mum. I've got no time for anything. All I do is I get up in the morning, get the school kids ready for school, get my job done, get home, get dinner. Before I know it, I'm in bed. I'm exhausted. I can't cope anymore. I'm highly stressed." And then throughout that class, she turned up, and she's the whole time she's going, "I should be doing this. I should be doing that." And mind's racing everywhere. On the fourth week, we asked her, "How are you progressing now?" And she says, "Yeah, I've turned up. I've done the hour." It's funny. I walked home the first week. I found 5 minutes of meditation a day. The second week, I found 10 minutes. She says, "Now in the fourth week, I don't understand it." She says, "I'm doing all the tasks I had to do previously. I'm getting my kids done, but I got all this spare time left over. I can just manage my time better." And it's not the fact I didn't have the time. It's just that I was so scattered. I wasn't thinking logically, and I wasn't planning properly.
Wow. So her mental energy was probably in the fact that she was worried about everything. Her brain was all over the place, and with a bit of focus, and that's perhaps given her, is that focus to then realize she actually has all the time in the world. And so we
Absolutely.
worry ourselves out of it.
And look what that does to her family. I know a lot of people come initially and say it's selfish dedicating time to yourself.
Mm.
But as a result of being able to dedicate that time to herself, now she's got more quality time and more calmer time to spend with her children. So giving the time to herself gives her time to actually resonate that back to her own children, so they grow up feeling calm and secure and seeing a mum who can manage.
So she gets to actually live her values where she thought maybe she was living against her values. Her value being spending time with the kids and looking after the family. That 1 hour she spent with you has now calmed her mind enough to actually. So she's basically learning how to run her own brain, run her own mind.
Exactly. And that's the power of meditation.
Mm.
Like going in, observing where the mind goes and how it operates. What we perceive things to be may not be actually how they are. And that's
Wow,
what she found out.
that's powerful. Wow, so that's the thing. We actually, I think all of this is about learning how to get out of our own way because we are the one that stop us.
Yes. Yes, it's where we place our focus. And that's what you find with a lot of jobs and things like that. Just say you have a job you absolutely hate and you detest it.
Mm.
If you get up in the morning, first thing that enters your mind is, "I'm going to go to another day of work. I absolutely hate it. I'm going to get caught in the traffic. The boss is going to yell at me." That thought will compound to the next thought, which compound to the next thought. Next, we're looking for ways to prove it right. We're looking for how the boss is going to yell at us. We're going to look for that blockage in traffic. We're going to prove ourselves right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Seek and what is it? The Bible says that seek and you shall find. I think it says. So that's
Exactly.
kind of a bit of a play on exactly how our brains work. It's like whatever you're looking for, you'll find it.
Exactly. If you wake up with a clear, calm mind, and even start with a morning practice of gratitude, or just look something you're happy with or something you're proud of. That's the first spot, and that will escalate, and that's what you'll start finding throughout the day, which is why morning meditation is so powerful.
And if you're sort of proud of yourself that you've done something that perhaps was a little bit hard or that you've been avoiding, that pride, then it's like you're sort of a positive reinforcement.
Oh,
And
absolutely. And once you've achieved something, it escalates into something bigger and something bigger again. The next thing you're on a roll, and you're putting it out to the universe. The universe starts delivering. So,
and that starts getting into that whole law of attraction type thing, which I believe works, but especially powerful when you're actually doing something.
yes, exactly. Just getting a vision board and sticking pictures on doesn't work.
Yeah, not by itself. No.
No, you got to do the work.
But when you go into action, you start seeing things that weren't there before, that were actually already there, but you were blind to them because you were looking over here.
Exactly. And that's what stress does. It pins you down, doesn't it? It starts opening up what can't be done.
Yeah.
Because we're just looking at survival in now. What can I do just not to die? and it doesn't matter what happens 2-3 minutes from now. It's what happens now. And they may not be logical, but when you have a clear, rational mind, the opportunities just really do open up.
Absolutely. And so we were chatting, I think it was yesterday, about the fact that I'm into men's mental health and trying to help men into finding different ways to cope with themselves before they get to that place where it all falls apart. And how can we introduce this to men as something that is a possibility, is something that's going to reduce their anxieties, or to just start to unload their mental clutter so they can get more out of life, whether it's high performance or not going all the way to depression and suicide, but somewhere in the middle, you know, where they can cope? Like, what's the message, I suppose, that we might be able to send to men?
Yeah. Well, it's crazy, but men don't do it more regularly. Because if we look at the history of meditation, name potentially 4 of the biggest meditators you know.
Oh, gosh. Maharishi, Buddha. I suppose we can go all the way back to Muhammad and Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Exactly.
They were meditators, I think.
All men.
They're all men. What's going on there?
All men.
But when you research you go on the internet, you trip over yourself with all the ladies groups, you know, meditation, that, and the ladies are attracted to that. But there's not as many for men. Like, you've got to go looking for something that resonates. And it's really interesting.
And I think there's a thing of that mystique, or it's feminine. But let's look at 3 high-profile people who meditate. Clint Eastwood, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hugh Jackman. So when we look at Dirty Harry, the Terminator, and Wolverine meditate.
Well, that's a selling point straight away to all men, surely.
If it's good enough for Wolverine, it's good enough for me.
This is the main, like, I think I was telling you the other day about the message, I suppose, for men to get as to how good meditation is for them. It's, if we don't get the message right, then it just skips off into outer space, like the space shuttle returning into Earth. If it's too steep, it burns up. If it's too shallow, it skips off into outer space. That message has to be the right angle for men to accept it, doesn't it? To see how it's going to benefit them.
Yeah. And that's it. And I think men don't do it because they've got a misconception of what meditation actually is.
Yeah.
Because they may think it's all mind, body, spirit, which it is. They may think it's all calling out to angels and light beams and, you know, those sorts of things. But as a human, it's a natural state for humans to go into meditation, male or female. We actually do it daily. We just don't acknowledge it.
That's right. I think hypnotherapy calls it trance, right?
Well, even so, have you ever picked up a flower and noticed the smell? What have you done? You've contemplated that smell. Have you ever picked up a cup of coffee and just noticed that warmth on the cup? That's a moment of contemplation.
Right. So we're all yogis in the making.
We're all doing it unintentionally, but it's a natural state for humans to do.
Right.
And even for men, if they don't want to start off in schools, they could just enhance that a little bit. There's a morning coffee routine you could do where all you need to do is pick up your cup of coffee, spend 5 minutes drinking it. Just hold the cup. Just notice the warmth on the cup. Just become aware of the smell of the coffee. Just sip the coffee and notice how the coffee tastes. If you do that 5 minutes a day, that's 5 minutes of meditation.
That's powerful because it's so simple, and it is something everyone has a coffee in the morning. I mean, a vast majority of people will have a coffee. So it's something that everybody's already got the habit of. So if you can attach this habit to an existing habit, that starts to get doable, starts to get powerful, starts to become something that is achievable. Because I think that there's a misconception with meditation that you can do it wrong. I think at the end of the day, if you're letting thoughts go, or if you're managing to transcend thought, then that's the whole point, is to give your brain a break from too much negative.
Exactly. And it's all about habituation, as you said earlier. So just being that 5 minutes, having that cup of coffee, if you say you're out of time. Another method is potentially, just say you have to be at a meeting, or just turn up 2-3 minutes earlier and acknowledge the fact you're earlier.
Mm.
Just,
just
allow yourself to
congratulating
breathe.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's powerful because it's simple. That's what I like about it. I like anything that I can do today. I don't have to go off and levitate above a rock somewhere, out on an island in the ocean. I can just have my cup of coffee.
Exactly. Or a shower, or brush your teeth. Just be aware of what you're doing. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Just do that 2-3 times a day, and you're moving forwards.
So is what you're doing, you're just pulling yourself back into the present moment instead of stressing about the future or the past.
Essentially, that is all it's doing.
Mm.
The past is gone, the future's yet to be, so you're just guessing what's happening. But now is always happening. And there's never an issue with now. Now's always good.
Yeah. And there's nothing to be afraid of in this moment. And that's where you start to realize, if you've got that sort of anxiety, you're realizing you're actually making it up and projecting into the future from an old hurt or an old pain, but it's not real yet.
No, it's not.
But
And
you
if you
can
go
make it
deep
real.
into that, exact. But even if you look at going into the past, is that real?
I've heard that scientists have proven that 50% of your memories that you've made up because you've focused so much on the feeling at the time, and it amplifies something beyond what was actually going on.
Particularly as a child. Because if something happens to you as a child, and this is quite often how depression begins, you have a situation that happens as a child, and you get that, and you store it, and you code it in your memory. And then is something just a little bit remotely attaches to that thought or feeling, you go back to it and you amplify it. Happens again, it gets bigger and bigger. But you're projecting that thought of a 5-year-old, not of the adult you are now. So you're living in that state. It might have been you didn't get the lolly you wanted at the supermarket. That caused that anxiety or depression.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't have to be a massive abuse case. It can just be a simple thing that you've made a meaning up of, that this means that, this means that I'm not good enough, or this means that I can't have what I want, whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's quite unconscious, because you're looking at it for a 5-year-old and you've forgot the whole story behind it. But unconsciously, it's just, I'm not good enough, or I didn't deserve that, or I'm not worthy. But it's not the case. It's not the way the case actually was at all.
Right. And so going back to that lady who had was it fibromyalgia?
Yes.
She had that condition. Do you think, or did you pick up on, was there anything that maybe came from her backstory? I suppose you might not know if you didn't do any of that work with her, but
I did do the work, and there was a backstory.
Oh, right. Okay. So the backstory. Okay. So the unconscious mind's looping around in the background, and this is probably one of the big things I want to really help educate everyone about, is the unconscious and how it's running the show. And
exactly.
I've done a few videos in YouTube about, there's a 6-year-old driving a bus. Do you get on the bus or not? Of course we wouldn't.
Yes. No.
But we let a 6-year-old drive some part of our life around and wonder why it keeps crashing into things.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. So all right. So you've resolved that and helped her work through that backstory. That is amazing. So Qigong, and so how do you sort of nest in the NLP component with the Qigong and the meditation? How does that work?
Okay. Well, we look at what NLP is. That's like a laser focus on an issue. That's like zeroing in, whether it's a phobia or a fear, or we have to go in and look at the patterns, programs, and beliefs that build that up.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to go into NLP and resolve that in a very, very quick period of time. I mean, as you've seen yourself, some things are gone within 5 seconds. It can be that quick. So we've got that, but when we've got meditation, meditation is about sitting back and contemplation of the mind. We're just looking at what happens with the mind as it folds out in real life. So if we're sitting there and we notice these habitual patterns that keep arising during meditation, we can actually turn to the NLP, put that laser focus on it, and have that moved.
Okay, so the meditation part is the spotlight. Oh, there's a problem. We need to clean up, tidy up, heal, whatever you want to call it. And the NLP then gives you the surgical tools to sort it out.
Exactly, without the scalpel.
Without the scalpel. I suppose I've got to be careful of my language, because it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just how we've stored something.
It is. Well, there is no right or wrong. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So it's well, that's powerful. So that's a really interesting sort of system. And so, are you putting together courses online to try and help people work through those problems? I suppose firstly, identify what the drama is, or the thing that they're not happy with, and then get under the hood or under the bonnet or into the engine bay and figure out what's there, and then a series of sort of strategies to overcome that. Is that sort of the idea?
It is. Going forwards, I will be producing courses on that.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, I have just been working more one-on-one and group coaching in this sort of environment. Group coaching can be fantastic because it does give that moral backing from others, and it gives you that community. And that's something I'm really proud of with what I've achieved so far. When I've got my groups, my sessions have not been a turn up and go home. I'm actually building communities with the people I'm drawing in. And we're turning these people who are looking for support into long-term friendships. I still keep in touch with every single person I've worked with. We still get together for coffees. So we're building community within my groups.
That's great. So, well, that's an interesting one. So with regards to the group work you're doing, because I would imagine people would share in the group their problems, and in sharing in the group, hopefully they're also sharing a few solutions they've come up with, which is powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And they do get the sense of, I'm not alone. Because a lot of people sit there going, oh, do you experience that as well? I thought it was just me. So it takes away that sense of isolation and gives that, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm actually okay, and it's going to be all right, you know? And then you got the backing of the others coming in as well, and the support and the morale, and it's just got a really nice energy in the group.
I tell you what, I could have used that when I was going through, a divorce, because we all think we are alone by ourselves, and we think it's all our fault, and you blame, which is not useful to anyone, but that really can get you down, and you think that you're the only failure in the world, even though we all know logically we're not, but emotionally or in the unconscious, in the background, that's what we believe. And I've stuffed up, and so that's really interesting, and that could be a good sort of lead-in for men to say, all right, well, if you're feeling like there's no options, you're feeling you're not alone, come and join this group where you'll learn some skills.
Oh, absolutely. And they'll see that they're not alone and they're not different to anyone else, and it is actually going to be okay. And with community is everything, and you can create that bond and that structure and that support group, and it does take you a long way. Men just need to learn to communicate.
It's probably the first thing for us all us men to learn is how to communicate with ourselves, because
exactly
what's running us.
And it's interesting when you look at men, because actually this does apply to women as well. Because what's the one thing essentially we all want as people? Peace.
Love, connection, peace.
Yeah, we all want peace. But how do we look for peace? If something does wrong by us, We're after revenge. We're after blame. We're
The
after
short-term strategy, revenge.
So the way to we get peace is to fight for it.
Wow,
Peace and
interesting.
fighting don't go together. They're two opposites. That's like the peace fighters. It doesn't work. You can't fight peace with violence.
Okay. So what would it be the key word? Like letting go? What's the key word that comes up for you instead of fight against peace? What's the key word that someone could put into their brain to try and get them to loop?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Oh, that's a good one. And that's a hard one to let go of.
It is. Now, that's what people think. They think forgiving people is letting people off the hook. It's about just so they've committed a crime, it's not going to jail. It's not about that at all.
Mm.
It's about letting go for yourself so you can let go. I mean, you can hold a grudge. You can be angry. That person doesn't know you're angry. They're over the other side of the world, or you're directing something. They don't even know what you're doing. So it's a whole lot of wasted anger that you're building. And it's not about It's not about accepting or tolerating. It's just about letting things be and forgiving for yourself so you can heal.
Yeah, I've heard that statement many times in personal development about if you have resentment is like having a cup of poison that you want to give to your enemy and drinking it yourself.
Exactly.
Doesn't achieve the goal.
Exactly. But look at how World War II started. Being
Yeah.
angry about World War One.
Yeah.
Just contains continual conflicts.
We'll have
But if we
another
let
go.
go of the conflict and just start forgiving,
Yeah.
then we're able to make a transition forwards and connect
Well,
with peace.
something that comes up from that then is how does Qigong and your system deal with the ego? Because the ego is pretty much the source of all that. And we
Yes.
have to deal with that side of ourselves. And there's good parts to the ego. The ego sometimes
Yes.
makes me work hard because I didn't like a failure, but it can
Yes.
also go horribly wrong. So how do you
Yes.
maintain, or how do you tame that wild beast so it's useful to you?
Yes. Now, anyone who's done any NLP training, or the quickest way to change a state is, as you probably know, is change your physiology.
Great, yeah.
Okay, so change your state, change your physiology. So what we do in Qigong, there are moves that actually deal with ego.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay, so there's particular moves we do, and this is related to the heart, because each of the emotions are triggered by an organ of the body.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a move in Qigong where we're working the heart, where we'll actually pull our shoulders back, which is put us in a state of pride.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pull your shoulders back, you'll actually feel that straight away.
Mm-hmm.
And you stand up straight, and you're pulling back. It's good.
I've got a
But
swagger.
from that move, we roll the shoulders forward and we slump forwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a state of unsure. That's a state of, not super confident. That's a state of. So basically, what we do is a continuous move of back, then forward. By doing a continual back and forward, we're pulling ourselves into balance. We're not going to exerting too much ego. We're going to experience the ego, but then we're going to pull ourselves back down the other way. But with practice, we're going to start following the middle path.
Wow, I like that. That's interesting. I've learned something. I've had my first Qigong class. So I just do a bit of this, bit of that, get myself back to balance. Wow.
Because Qigong is about balancing yin and the yang.
Yeah.
And by doing the opposites, you're creating that balance, and you're practicing those opposites to create that balance.
That's really interesting. Balance. I like that. So you're not denying any part of yourself, which is the challenge with some of the work you can do in other areas. You've got to, push that away, but it's part of who you are, right? So you're not loving part of yourself. So that's really interesting that you're accepting both sides of yourself. This is really fits in well with lots of stuff that I'm doing. So this is really interesting.
Yes, that's powerful. Qigong is. It's about acceptance, accepting all that we have, accepting all our emotions, understand they all do serve a purpose.
Because you do a lot of, self-development. They all say, oh, you've got to accept yourself. You've got to love all parts of yourself. Yeah, but how? How do I do that? I have no idea. So you've just given me
Exactly.
a piece of that puzzle. That's really
Yes.
useful and valuable.
Fantastic. And with ongoing Qigong, every single emotion is dealt with using breath work and your physiology.
So do you have like a list of emotions and you just work through them? Or it's just doing it all at the same time through particular activities?
Typically, you want to cover all emotions because as it comes into balance, if you're just working ego and fear too much and you're neglecting happiness and sadness, and if you're doing that, you're neglecting. So you'd want to continually work them all to create that balance. Because if you're working one more than the other, you're falling out of balance again.
Right. And so I assume there's like daily kind of practices you can do to cycle through that, because we're always got emotions coming up from either old stuff or current stuff, whatever it might
Yes,
be.
exactly. And then a lot of breath work covers like just analyzing how you breathe in certain situations.
Mm.
Highly stressed, just you start hyperventilating. When you're calm, it's very,
Yeah.
it's very slow. So even with that, just breathing alters those ego, that state. There's a cycle of breathing where we actually follow the full range, going from the really slow and calm, building up speed until we hit to almost hyperventilate and bring it back down. And just by circling the stages of breath, we're bringing ourselves back into balance, because we can be caught in one or the other.
Right.
But even exercise, we're bringing ourselves back into balance with our breath.
So you're allowing them all to cycle through and then bringing them back to calm.
It's about complete acceptance.
Right. Well, that's amazing. I've done quite a bit, and I was like, no one's actually put it quite like that. No one's actually sort of said, all right, this is how you get accepting of all parts of you, even the parts you don't like. That's really good.
Because you do need the parts you don't like. They do serve a purpose.
Every part serves a purpose. I mean, you need anger when, you need to protect yourself.
Exactly.
It's just sorting it out the rest of the time and releasing it appropriately.
You're just knowing, when to let it go again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. So, there's a lot in here for men then, isn't there? There's a lot. It's just, how do we get the message to them to help them find ways to cycle through these things? And there's a lot of stuff in the mind that's hidden away that we don't see. It's only when you do some different things like this that it comes up and you realize, oh, something that happened when I was 5 is running the show
Yes.
now in one spot of
Yes.
my life, finances, or it could be
Yes.
relationships, or, career or something.
Absolutely. The fact you didn't get a lolly at the age of 5 affects your finances now.
Mm. It's
And that's
amazing.
why we have to be so careful of our language, particularly of our kids. We can't afford it is a dangerous thing to say to a child.
Yeah. 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 That starts to set the tone for times like this, or, during these times when you think, well, what's possible for me? And there'll be some belief system in there that's holding you back.
Exactly.
Wow.
And we don't need to justify. We feel the urge to justify it to our kids. It's like the kids are running us. So, no, we can't afford. You think money is made on trees?
Mm-hmm.
Where even if we physically don't have the money, what's wrong with just no? We don't need to justify it.
Mm. Yeah, that's right. And just say, oh, no, we can't do it. But yeah, not to let them absorb it as if it's ultimate truth as a kid. But it's, I mean, parents are under pressure, right? So we understand how it easily can happen.
Yes.
But as an adult, we have the choice then to control that. But if you don't know the message is there and yet it's running your show, that's the challenge.
Exactly. And that snowballs with that child as well.
Mm.
Because all of a sudden, no, money's scarce, money can't be made, and and starts following that path.
Mm. So we're talking about sort of story now. I'm sort of thinking about now what's with your story. So what was sort of the presenting thing that you had in your life that led you down this path? Because you've got all this wisdom. Clearly, I can see from all the reading I've done, I can see all the positives that are coming out in your skill set. what led you to all of this? Because this is an amazing journey.
For me, it was self-worth. I didn't feel worthy.
Right.
And at the time I said I was depressed, but I labeled myself as depressed.
Right.
Because I was one of those kids at school who was never good at sport. I didn't really fit in. Everyone was better than me in everything. But the one thing I was really good at was being depressed. I could out-depress anyone.
Not really a useful skill set, but geez, you were good at it.
No. It did not serve a purpose whatsoever in progressing me forwards. But that sort of became my habit. That became my identity. That was who I become. Because when you get into habitually thinking, I'm depressed, it's no longer a thought or an emotion. It becomes your identity. And as you start getting older, you start seeing how it affects jobs, it affects relationships, it affects those sort of, all aspects of your life, basically. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point it just couldn't go on anymore. And I tried all different paths, and I was reluctant to go into meditation as well. So initially, but I thought, I've got nothing to lose. What have I got to lose? I mean, if I don't do it, I could potentially lose my life. Everything to gain, nothing to lose. Wow. So I signed up, and I remember this one place. I'll just share this story because I just could not believe the generosity from this particular person. I called up, and it was a Buddhist center in the Chan tradition. And I called up and I said, are you offering any meditation classes? I need it. Is this my situation? And he goes, as a matter of fact, we are. Great. When do you start? And he gave me a date. I said, how much does that cost? Poor money mindset, going back to that. And he's going, no, nothing at all. All we ask you to do is to turn up a Saturday and a Sunday over 2 consecutive weekends. So, okay, I can do that. So I turned up, and what I didn't realize, I was the only person in the class. He had set it up just for me.
Wow.
And he turned to me and he said, so did you have to come far to come here? I said, it's about 40 minutes, so it's not too bad. I said, do you live here? He goes, no, I flew in from Taiwan to be here today.
What?
And I'm thinking, look at this. I'm a total stranger, and look what he's giving.
Wow.
And that was a life changer for me.
That's servicing your client, isn't it? When he doesn't pay any money.
Definitely servicing your client.
Wow. That is interesting. So this was your, like my channel's called Fork in the Road. This is the fork in the road for you, where you've decided to try and do something, and then the universe has sort of dropped this, I don't know, what was he, a monk or something? What was he, that some meditation dude in your lap to sort you out?
He wasn't a monk, but he trained in the in the head office in Taiwan for this particular area of Buddhism.
Right. So
I just saw the love and the compassion and the peace that he had, and I'm going, I need to follow this path.
Yeah, absolutely. And so over those 4 days, you obviously went there with hope, but were still very down. What was the transformation like through those 4 days, those 2 weekends?
Now, this is the thing that why most people quit at the start. It stirred a lot of emotion. And the reason being is that when we initially go in and we're examining our mind or observing our thoughts, it starts resurfacing things we were once suppressing. Because we never gave ourselves permission to acknowledge it. And it's bringing up all this emotion, because particularly men, we get so we push it down, we get it, we push it down, we get it, we push it down. And that particular emotion starts building and building and building. And like a balloon, it's eventually going to burst. And we become broken. So I was sitting there and all this emotion's coming up. And he goes, that's good. And no, it's not feeling great. It's feeling terrible.
I've been avoiding this stuff for 20 years.
Exactly. He says, get it, acknowledge it. Once you acknowledge it, once you accept it, once you deal with it, it will release it.
Right.
And the more you get into that, the more habit you get of to doing it and acknowledging where your mind's going, what it's thinking, and how it's operating, the more you release, the more peace you start feeling, the more, motivation, the more opportunities start arising.
Fantastic.
And through this release and opportunity that I stepped into NLP and I stepped into this, got to start seeing I'm so much more capable of what I gave myself credit for. I can give so much. With my story, I can create such a change in the world using these tools.
Fantastic. And so now your passion obviously is to teach other people who are going through the same journey of where the hell am I, and giving them an option, via courses and retreats, etc., and teaching them how they can cycle through that and release whatever's inside.
Exactly. And we were discussing it just yesterday. We wait until we're completely down before we become brave.
We're
discussing that.
That's the problem. And we're almost about to fall apart.
Yep. And you're right, like, geez, you were brave. But what if we became brave before we became broken?
Brave before broken. Yeah, that was what we talked about. That was the tagline. I think there's a course coming up in your course soon called Brave to Broken.
But it is such a powerful message. Why wait until we fall apart before we start seeking the help? Jump aboard now. Be willing to have a talk. Have a discussion. Don't let it fall apart.
I used to play cricket, and I'm still connected with some of the cricketers, and you see some of the guys there who show a lot of courage to come online to say, I've been struggling with depression, and everyone supports them really well. And my challenge is to help men get ahead of that before they've gone to hell and back, because clearly for them to say something, they've gone to hell and back, and everybody supports them. But how do we sort of overcome that before? And that's my goal, challenge, is to share with people resources like yourself and the different techniques that they can go and explore before it all goes pear-shaped.
Oh, exactly. There is a lot of help out there. You just got to know where to look. And the reason you're not finding it because your mind is focusing on what you can't do.
And there's also some expectation. There's also what you expect people are thinking of you. I think there's what's that one liner where they talk about, it's not what I think of me. Not what I think of me. It's not what you think of me. It's what I think you think of me. Like, I'm making this up. I'm making up what I think you think about me.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And it's funny, we're relying so much on other people's opinions on us But the thing is, if I ask you an opinion on you and just say, I don't know, you had a car accident on the way in and you're running late and there was an argument here, or if I ask you that opinion, that question, got an opinion from you in that state, as opposed to you got up early, had a nice meditation, you came in relaxed, it's going to be a very different opinion. So we're seeking the opinion on someone based on the mood they're in at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's and that's the challenge, isn't it? It's the emotional state of the person. But we take on someone's opinion when they're maybe emotional, and then that lodges in us, but then they've forgotten about it, that other person, and yet it stays inside us and then affects our next decision, right? And then that snowballs and compounds over years, decades. And then we end up in this weird place where we're living by a set of rules that are kind of made up from a decade ago.
Yeah. And very outdated.
Yeah, well, we need to update it to what's going on right now.
Exactly. Yeah, and the way to combat, we just got to accept ourselves.
And so this is where Qigong comes back to what's going on, Qigong.
Absolutely. It does create that mind-body connection for self-acceptance, but meditation comes into that as well. It's just learning, I am worthwhile, I am loving, I am compassionate, and we can't base our opinions or judgments or anything based on what other people think. And what we're not considering is it's all based on ego.
And
because because we're based on, that's wrong because I was taught this way. So when we're looking at the way we're conditioned to believe in the first place.
And that's where Qigong gives you that balance to try and figure out
Yeah.
what's real and what have you made up in your head. So do you have any epiphanies while you're doing Qigong where you realize, oh my God, something my dad said when I was 10 is rattling around in my head, affecting me when I'm 30 or 40 or 50?
Yeah. Not so much during Qigong. During the meditations I do. During
Right.
Qigong, you actually feel the blockages.
Right. Okay.
So you can actually physically feel like, because the way energy feels through your body, it could feel like static, it could feel like electricity, it could be a warmth. There's a range of feelings, and it's flowing nice and freely. But there'll be certain points of your body where it just doesn't move.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
And
got a
if you
few
take a
ones
look,
like
it's
that.
going to be in relation to the emotion you're feeling and the organ it's in generally.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this fits in perfectly with some of my research on people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's scientifically proven how, you're storing emotions in your body, and the emotions from old memories, and they're firing messages back up to your brain to keep the same thoughts going on, and it's amazing. So it's to think that you're clearing some of those out. That's very exciting because that's what holds us back.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's just so easy to do. Because like yoga is another method of doing it. But I know a lot of men won't go to yoga. I've tried yoga myself, and I find it quite painful, to be honest, and it hurts
Mm.
because I'm not that flexible. Um, but Qigong, the moves are just easy, and they're fluid and smooth. And in fact, a problem men do have is anger, isn't it? Anger is a common one.
Yeah,
There is a Qigong exercise where we actually fight, actually have full fighting motions in a calm state.
so we're like this.
You
Like,
will be throwing punches and kicks, but you'll be doing it slow in a calm state. So you're habituating the mind that when you do go into a panic mode, so if you do go into a state of stress, or to bring yourself back into balance, because you're training yourself to do that.
fantastic. So you're tricking the ego? Is that what are you doing in that moment?
You're
What are you,
rehabituating the mind.
you
Because if
what?
you go into fight or flight, you're
Mm,
rehabituating the mind. So
rehabilitation.
if you go into fight, it's like, a state of rage and anger. But start throwing punches and kicks in a state of calm and see how it feels.
Not going to be as effective.
No, it's not. But if you continually do that, create a habit, like you're able to pull yourself out from anger back into calm because you've practiced the balance.
So is doing that releasing the anger?
It's training you to rebit your mind back off it. It doesn't necessarily release it because you harness the anger, you allow yourself to feel the anger.
Mm,
Because if you don't feel the anger, you suppress it and then you explode. So you do need to be able to accept and acknowledge the anger.
mm,
But it's all about creating that balance of being able to be angry and pull yourself back.
okay. So it's so basically you're learning how to run your own system.
You are.
Mm.
You're training your body how to, you're training your emotions how to operate and in the most beneficial way possible.
Wow, that's exactly what all of us men need. So that's that sort of in between ground, isn't it? That helps
It
you
is.
to manage your own state, manage your
Yeah,
emotions, clean up whatever's or clear or resolve or dissolve whatever's there,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
move.
Because we, as humans, we tend to go to the extremes, don't we? We go all the way here and all the way there.
Yeah.
But there is always a middle ground, and the middle ground is always the best ground to be in. It creates that balance and equanimity that we need in our lives.
You think about what we're going through at the moment in lockdown here in
Yeah,
Australia, and you think about what is happening around the world, and we're all worried about the extreme, and which means our brain is not living in the now, which is probably the middle. Things are
yeah,
actually quite calm, really,
yeah.
in Australia, but we are worried, and then that worry leads to, well, no toilet paper.
Exactly.
Of all things, it's crazy. but it's not at the same time when you start to unpack human psychology at the same time. So it's really interesting. Not that I'm a psychologist, but we don't need to be to see the toilet paper shelves are empty. So
Yes.
it's so it's a way of getting back to calm. So you can. That's the thing I've always thought and said. Being calm is you always come up with much better decisions based on
Absolutely.
information as opposed to emotionally, I mean, sometimes emotions are good, but when you're going into stress and anxiety, you need to actually have a battle plan of some sort,
Yes,
or
exactly.
you're in trouble.
Yeah, because generally revenge isn't a good option.
No,
Because generally when we hit that, we do tend to go into blame.
that's
We
the
do tend
ego at
to,
work again.
it is the ego. We don't need to blame.
Yeah. So it's so qigong mixed with meditation and then the NLP thrown in over the top, all layering together, seems to be an overall really good holistic kind of practice to just sort out whatever's blocking you, get back to calm,
Yeah.
and deal with your ego. Still acknowledge the missing parts or the parts you're not happy about,
Yes.
and then eventually you'll sort of accept yourself and get to that level place. Is that sort of a good summary of it all?
It's exactly what it is. It's that well-rounded balance to get control of yourself.
Mm. And so, with your the courses that you're putting together, what sort of time frame would you like? Is it over like an 8-week course, an hour a week, or what sort of things you're putting together? Is it and what do they sort of before and after? What are they hoping to get out of it?
Well, there's several packages that are coming up because I actually do some personal training for fitness and nutrition as well
Mm-hmm.
to completely round off the package. So at the moment, I am looking at doing a nutrition and fitness package, which has been over a 12-week period. Because I can assure you that when it comes to nutrition and fitness, that's just the surface layer.
Mm,
It always goes deeper.
right. You were
And
mentioning.
if you're a person who's looking to build muscle or become a bodybuilder, I'm probably not your trainer
Mm,
because it's done in a very mindful way. It's all about mindfulness, about creating health. It's not about ego.
right.
Because I found that when I was originally personal training, it led to ego. It led to falling out of balance. It
Okay.
led to people become so obsessed, developing obsessive behaviors, food addictions, you know,
Mm.
steroid use, drug use, and they lost control of their mind.
Yeah. Yeah. The ego's taken over.
Yeah.
Have a look at me. Off they go.
And that's the fact, when I started working on the mind, because I stopped doing that, started working on the mind, I found I was so busy working on their mind, they forgot their body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're so focused, and they lost connection with the world. Because when you're looking at growth, putting in the long hours, and you see it all the time on social media, you need to put in, you've got to be dedicated, you've got to work around the clock. They lose connection with their family, they lose connection with themselves, they're losing connection. And that's where you need to step spirituality into it.
Mm.
Find your higher purpose and follow that goal.
So this is an interesting one because spirituality can, everyone can think, oh, you're talking about a church or you're talking about something like, some dogma, but you're actually talking about following something where your energy is drawn towards.
Exactly. And it's exactly right what you're saying, because a lot of people put it down to religion, they put it down to that sort
Mm.
of thing. Spirituality could, for you, be a walk in the bush.
Yeah.
Spirituality could be sitting on the beach.
Yeah.
Spirituality is your spirituality.
So it's different for everyone. So really it comes down to if you're following your values and find something that really lifts your energy, that
Yes.
is a form of spirituality. Is that right?
And when you find that, you find your purpose, you find what you're looking for, and you find your direction.
And I believe you help people with that too.
Yep. But that's my main goal, actually, a purpose coach.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about stripping away the layers, because at the end of the day, everyone knows what they want. Everyone has the ability to achieve what they want to achieve. The catch is they just don't believe it.
Well, sometimes they may not allow it because there's a lot of conflicting people they're trying to keep in their life and keep happy.
Exactly. And then that comes down to self-belief. That comes down to all your limiting beliefs and your programming, and that's where being working in NLP, we're able to sort of work on that, release that, and free up that energy to move forwards.
Fantastic. So when someone comes into your program, they're going to identify some of those blocks?
Absolutely. Because what the big program is, I want to create the ultimate program, which is actually a 1-year program.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to start off with finding those blockages. Find out what is holding you back. We're going to dig deep into the unconscious to find it out.
Mm.
We're going to resolve those issues. And then we're going to go into meditation practice so you can continually, in going forwards, understand your mind, understand what's arising, what's coming up. And during that period of time, you can go back to the NLP and remove any habitual thinking that keeps coming up that is keeping them blocked.
Mm.
Then we can create that body balance, keep yourself fit in a mindful way with mindful nutrition, to keep your body healthy, and connecting with that spirituality so you got the full rounded package.
Right. So at the end of it, you're like levitating.
Yes. Because you do need all aspects. You need mind, body, spirit to truly move forwards.
Yeah, that's true. And you were saying that, I think, yesterday about when you were a trainer, that working on the mind, like you said before, on the body. And then you help people work on the mind, and the other parts would fall apart. So it's like, okay, you've got to get it all together, because that would feel terrible as a guide to have people's other areas of their lives falling apart. So it's like, okay, well, I need to go and help there too. And you've got now this whole program together that will really drive whatever results they're looking for. And what I find is there's a presenting issue, but then there's a real issue underneath. But deal with the presenting issue, that'll be dealt with too once you deal with the undercurrent.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not eating healthy. Okay. For what purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be back to an event that happened when they were 5 years old, which, which can completely unrelate to anything that's happening today, but they're holding on to that.
Mm.
You release that, you've released that. You've released that blockage.
For good.
Then you need to rehabilitate yourself, habituate yourself to move forwards.
Wow. Oh, that's powerful. So I'm keen to have a crack at Qigong now, a bit of breath work. Because there's always more to work on. Doesn't matter how much work you've done on yourself. And there's always something which you think, I could actually get better in that area for sure. So what I love with this sort of work is that it's probably going to bring up something you don't know that's holding you back. And then you realize that's where I get excited. Where, something else is released that I didn't even know was there.
Exactly. So don't look at it with frustration. Look at it with gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you can work on it.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know what's there, how are you supposed to clear it?
Exactly. And that could be blocking so many decisions you're making going forwards too, without even knowing it's there.
Well, that is amazing. So, how do people get in touch with you, Paul, to take you on that journey and go through your programs? And is there like a way that they can sort of start to lead them towards that year program?
Absolutely. So, still building my website. That should be out within the next couple of weeks, I'd say, which is just going to be paulmanningcoaching.com. I've got Paul Manning Coaching Facebook page. You can certainly jump on there. But if you want to contact me directly, you can get me on my email address, paul@paulmanningcoaching.com. And I'm more than happy to arrange a chat and a talk and get you progressing forward.
Fantastic. And moving forward, obviously there will be some online resources coming.
Absolutely.
For them to go and check out, see some videos, and then take them on this kind of a journey like we've talked about today.
Exactly. And the journey is your journey and your journey alone. So I'll let that be clear. A lot of people try and turn people into this the way it should be. The journey that we're creating here is your journey, and it's you empowering yourself to follow what you want to achieve.
I like that. Following your journey. I like that.
Yes.
So that's perhaps your tagline. Is it on your website? Follow your journey.
It will be now. I've come up with it.
Well, my energy lifted when you said that. Oh, it's my journey. Good. No one else's. That's good.
Exactly. Because look, as a kid, let's look at sport, okay? Your father's a football supporter. Who do you have? He has this particular thing of sports. Who do you have to barrack for?
I was brainwashed at birth, so I know what you mean. You got no choice.
And that's like everything. Like, you have to do this, you have to do that. This isn't about that. This is about empowering your strength and your abilities and what you're capable of to meet your values. And we can dig deep to get into that for you.
Fantastic. And so you help people recognize all those elements so they can figure out themselves.
Exactly. Because you can only lift to your higher values if you know what those values are.
Yeah, absolutely. Because once you realize your values, I'm sure your energy, when it's dropped, you understand that you're not living to your values. And when it rises, you are. So it means you can start to plan for something that's going to lift your energy.
Absolutely. And I think in this day and age, we're unconsciously living to our lower values.
Mm.
So it's time to shift and start living in accordance with the higher values. And that will truly move us forwards.
That is powerful. Well, it's been an amazing chat, Paul, and I look forward to seeing your online courses coming up and your new to be released website. What was that website called again?
Just paulmanningcoaching.com.
paulmanningcoaching.com. And they can
That's
also
it.
find you on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook, just under Paul Manning Coaching.
Paul Manning Coaching. And soon to be releasing some online courses, I take it.
Absolutely. I've already got the ebook out, so if you join up, I will shoot you a copy of the ebook.
Great. What's the ebook called again?
Called De-Stress. It's called De-Stress.
De-Stress. All right, I'll be having read of that too. Between my backwards and forwards Qigong and reading your ebook, I'll get myself moving in the right direction. Get back to center.
Absolutely. That's it.
Fantastic, Paul. Thank you so much for joining me today on Growth Gurus and Paul Manning Coaching. So everybody go out there and check out Paul Manning. He's obviously got a lot of skills to share with you. He's got his Qigong, he's got meditation, he's got the NLP laid over the top and can really help you unpack whatever's going on inside you and shifting yourself forward. Progressing, and one of my mantras is that progress is happiness. Whenever we move forward from where we are at, then we are always happy and proud of ourselves. So go and check him out. Thank you so much again, Paul, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, fantastic. And I'll put this video on YouTube for everyone to look at, and no doubt will probably end up on Paul's website too. And thanks very much for joining us at Growth Gurus for Fork in the Road YouTube channel. And my name's Matthew Tait. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.